Hey guys, welcome back. Welcome back. This should be a really great video here. I love you, baby. Love you, baby. Love you, baby. Love you. One of my favorite incense. So, I thought I would address this topic about marriage being a trap after I was reminded of a post that I made back in 2019 when I was living in Los Angeles, California. I'm going to read you guys the post, but more interesting, I think, than what I said in the post was your reaction, you guys' comments and reaction to the post that I made back then. Now, some of y'all just jumped on my posts, made comments, and didn't even read. First of all, didn't even notice the date. It's 2019. We're in 2022. So some of y'all are assuming that this is something that actually happened to me recently, like this year. And some of y'all, I think, just project your own experience. Obviously, that's, I think, what most of you guys do when you're commenting on different posts on social media. I feel like people don't take the time to really understand where a person is coming from. They want to share their perspective, which is cool. Not to say it's the right or wrong way, but I find it interesting how people approach just posts that are made on social media, and they project their own assumptions or understanding of what a person is saying or what a person is communicating, right? So I'm going to read you guys what I posted. So I basically reposted a post that I made back in 2019. I'm going to give you guys the context of the post, because the context, I think, makes a huge difference, right? It kind of changes the whole understanding of what the post is really communicating. But I find it interesting, you guys' reaction, right? Your response to my post, absent of the context. So let's get into this. I'm just like, interesting. And I'm also going to share my perspective as a single black woman, successful, shall I emphasize, single black woman, to this whole idea of marriage. I'll give you guys my take on marriage. So, this was back, oh my gosh, August 22nd. So you guys know how Facebook, they will remind you of your memories, right? They'll remind you of different things that you posted on the anniversary of the post. So I made this post back August 22nd, 2019. Today, of course, is August 22nd, 2022. Look at that, 22. The number 2. Alright, anyway, so I said, today, this married guy told me congratulations for being single. He said being married to the mother of his son feels like a trap. Hold on, let me mute these, okay? I won't need all this interference here while we're talking. He says, alright, today this married guy told me congratulations for being single. He said being married to the mother of his son feels like a trap. Key in. Being married to the mother of his son feels like a trap and a threat to his freedom and individual identity. So this is what this guy said to me. This was back in 2019. On the day, right, of August 22nd, I had this experience and I went to make a post to talk about it, right, to share it with you guys. So continuing, I said, I could hear the pain in his voice as he said, quote unquote, sometimes I wish I was still single, so I can go and come as I please and not have to answer to anyone. And then I asked you guys, what are your thoughts? So, bingo, that's the scenario. It's a real life situation. This is not made up. I know that I'm a writer. Very prolific, creative, fictional, and non-fictional writer. But no, this story is true. This actually happened. And I think I'm going to hold off on giving you guys the context of the story. I'm going to read the comments that were posted today after I reposted this post, right? And then I'm going to go back and read you guys the original comments, all right? The comments that were initially made on this post when I made it in 2019. I just find it so hilarious, yo. All right, so this person says, and this is a guy, he says he's trying to find a side piece. Run, girl, run. Now, I get it. You guys don't know the context. I get it. But I'm like, what? Right? So my response to that was that not every man is looking for a side piece. I understood where he was coming from. And this is me as a single woman. Even back then, I got it. But it went over most people's heads. Not everyone, because some of y'all actually really understood where he was coming from, as I did. But some of y'all just took it completely out of context and made what you wanted to of it, right? So I get it. So this next person, she says, that's tough now that he is married. I felt like she kind of came close to really understanding where he was coming from, right? And what I was sharing with you guys. She says, he is not trapped though. There's always an option for divorce, although most don't want to go through the process. So I'm thinking, is it really about going through the process of divorce for him? Or is it about him maintaining a certain commitment, upholding a value, which is family? Because he says, let's go back, he says, being married to the mother of his son. He calls her the mother of his son, not my wife, right? But the mother of his son, as if he basically married her because she had his child. Some people do feel obligated to get married to the mother of their children, even though that's not really what they want to do. And I'm reminded of a great example of a person, a figure, a very prominent figure in the African American community, Dr. Umar Johnson, who did the quite opposite, complete opposite, right? For him, he said that he didn't feel obligated to marry any of his baby moms. He has 2 baby moms on record. He didn't feel obligated to marry any of them just because they had his child. Each of them gave birth to a daughter, right? His daughter, but he didn't feel obligated to propose. Some men do though. Some men say, you know what? She carried my seed. This is my wife. Going back to this comment from this woman, she says he is not trapped though. There's always an option for divorce, although most don't want to go through the process. Like I said, I don't think it's so much the process as it is him just maintaining a commitment. It may be his only option unless he is willing to go to marriage counseling to feel less trapped in the marriage. See, that's what I was thinking along those lines of he is not happy, clearly, being with this woman. And he does feel trapped. He's feel trapped because I think he made this decision to just be with her by default, right? She got pregnant, or they got pregnant, a baby came in the picture. Okay, this is what I'm expected to do, right? This is just what the course of direction should be for me going forward, or for us going forward. That's, I think, where he feels trapped in that situation, because the decision granted, one can make the argument that if we lay down with a person and the baby comes as a result of that, you made a decision to procreate, right? That was whether you wanted that outcome or not. If you fuck, whether you fuck with a condom or not, if you laying down with a person, it's kind of expected that you choose the behavior, you choose the consequence. My sister says this all the time. You choose the behavior, you choose the consequence. So you chose to lay down with a person, then you choose to procreate with that person. It's no surprise what comes out of having sex with a person. Even whether you have fucking prophylactics or not, it doesn't matter whether you use protection or you're in birth control. It's like, that's kind of what's expected. You fucking, right? So it's no surprise. I think it's a matter of just poor planning, poor behavioral choices. That's really what it is. Which happens all the time. A lot of people allow their sexual desires or sexual needs to take the front seat, to drive the course of where they're going in life. You know, they're driven by these low vibrational urges. Not to undermine the importance of sex and our sexual identity, right? That's really important. I mean, I'm a sexual being, but at the same time, it's just like I'm not driven by my sexual urges. If I was, I would be a fucking, who knows where the hell I would be, right? I definitely would not be a childless, happy, single black woman. I probably would be with many children as a single black woman and just unhappy with my life. But I'm not driven by that. I feel like we have the intellect, you have the intelligence, right? You have the wisdom. Let that be the guide, not what's between your legs, no matter if you're a male or a woman. So that's just always been my philosophy, and I can't say, oh, woe is me, I ended up in this situation. Unfortunately, a lot of women just kind of like, oh, you end up like, as a single black mother, you just end up fucking being abandoned by a man that really didn't want this. And I've always said, yo, that would never be me. And one may say, well, how can you be so sure? Because I'm so careful and I'm very calculated. I'm just that, like, yeah, you have to know that this is for sure. This is like your soulmate. This person can match your level of desirability for them. Like, they are truly committed. This is what they truly want. No question about, no doubt about it. They want you more than you want them, or just as equal. Right? All right, so continuing. This is the same reason I haven't wanted to be married. I like my freedom of having a companion, but the option to move on if needed. So I kind of agree with her, the last part of her comment here, because that's me. So I'm kind of going into like my perspective of marriage in general. It's like, is marriage a trap? You guys leave your comments below, but is marriage a trap? Is it even worth it? I mean, me speaking as a single black woman, as just a single woman, I would say there's a degree of peace, satisfaction, just comfortability, just security in being single. I've dated. I said this before, like a lot of times men look at me and say, oh, well, how can a beautiful, successful, smart black woman like yourself be single? It's literally by choice. Like, no one is, I feel like, and Kendra G, she said this, she's a talk show, a radio talk show on personality, and she hosts this dating show on her Instagram page, and she makes this statement, but I truly believe in this, is that no woman or man really is single, let's say, because they don't want to be, right? Like people, you can find a man, you can find a woman, you can get a man, you can get a woman. That's nothing. That's a piece of cake. It's not even about that. It's really what do you want, right? When people are single, it's because they want to be single. No, you got homeless people fucking wifed up, booed up. You know what I'm saying? Like homeless mother. You just look at like, I don't want to say the degenerates of society, but you look at certain people who are perceived to be less desirable, right? And according to societal standards, and they are partnered up. So it's not about, oh, can you get a partner? It's, do you really want that? And for me, like I said, I've been partnered up. I have not been single all my life, though you have men that look at me and like, oh, you single, as if I've been single all my life. No. In fact, for people who don't really know me, you'll come to find out that, I've been in serious long-term relationships over half of my adult life. And my last relationship was very toxic, right? I'm not pointing fingers, but it's just like, I've been partnered. I've been living with men. I've been in 3 long-term serious relationships where I cohabitated with these men. Like, might as well say fucking common law marriage. We were married. I woke up every day to a man. So it's like being single, it is a level of peace and just freedom and just I'm going to come back. I'm going to circle back to that, right? I'm going to circle back to that. So she says, yes, I like my freedom of having a companion, but the option to move on if needed. Yes, honey. This person says, there are pros and cons to being single and more pros than cons to being married. Just because you are married to a bad partner doesn't mean the entire concept of marriage is wrong or bad. I come and go as I please. I think, I think he's speaking to the perspective that your partnership, your marriage is what you create on your terms, on your agreed upon terms between the 2 people involved, right? So people, I think, oftentimes enter into this agreement without communicating effectively and putting things on the table and verbalizing what it is you want your marriage to look like. What do you want your relationship to look like? Before you even go and jump into something and making that blind step, that blind jump into this long-term committed thing, you have this conversation, multiple conversations with your potential partner about what your expectations are. People oftentimes just go into things blindly because you assume that just because you grew up visualizing marriage to look a certain way, that everybody somehow imagines it to be that way. And no, it's not. Like, you have to put these things on the table. And I'm very like, I'm really strong about that when it comes to just dating. I don't play. Like, I put things on because I have to weed people out so that I know I'm not wasting my time with a person. I'm not about to sit up here and just be on the phone talking. Going out on dates, and then come to find out, oh, this is not what I want. Or this other person decides, oh, well, I really don't want kids, and I know I want kids, for example. Or they have certain values or belief systems that don't complement what I believe in, right? They coincide with what I believe in. Like, we bumping heads. That is not going to work. I put it out on the table. That's how I know it. And I've disappointed a lot of potentials. That's another thing, because it's like I have these certain predetermined expectations. This visualization, this idea of what I want, and I know what works for me. A lot of men don't necessarily fall within that category. In terms of my values, like, I know that for me, Pan-Africanism is important. And I give you guys an example. So there was this guy on the dating app who obviously saw my profile. He reached out to me, and his first message was, what do you think, what are some small things you think can be done to help spread Pan-Africanism? And I get what prompted him to message me and ask that, because on my profile, one of my interests is listed as Pan-Africanism. But I wanted him to come from a more genuine perspective, because I can tell just by the way he asks a question that, number one, he's not a Pan-African. Number two, he doesn't know much about Pan-Africanism. But he's wanting to initiate a conversation. He's wanting to interact with me and get to know me because he's interested in me, right? But I have my way of weeding people out. I don't care how fine you are. I have my way of weeding guys out because I just, like I said, I don't have time to waste. And I know that oftentimes people just aren't genuine. I see through everything, right? So I know what angle he was coming from. It's simply just wanting to get to know me, to build with me or whatever. But that's not a question that he truly wanted the answer to. So I'm asking myself, before I message him, why is he asking me this asinine question that he doesn't even really want the answer to? He's just asking me this question just because he wants to make conversation with me. I see through that, though. So I called him out on it, and I was just like, your question isn't genuine. It's not. And he's like, how do you know? And so then we go back and forth, and I'm explaining to him, like, I just want you to be real. Just come forward and initiate a conversation coming from a space that you're being real, right? Just be real. That's not something you're interested in. Because look at the question he asks, right? What are some small things that can be done to help spread Pan-African? Like, if you're a true Pan-African, that's not even a question that you're concerned with. But anyway, I digress. So it's like things like that I find myself doing to kind of just weed out so that I don't waste my time. And it does matter. Yes, it's well, going back to this comment, it's really about you and that person co-creating this experience, co-creating what it is that you want, what kind of partnership you want to enter in. He says, just because you are married to a bad partner doesn't mean the entire concept of marriage is wrong or bad. I come and go as I please with respect, but I check in and I check out. It's similar to not liking your place of employment or what you do for a living. I don't think that's a bad comparison, though. You can't compare marriage to your place of employment, right? Like, they don't compare. And a job, but for a lot of people, a job is just a means to an end to pay their bills, right? They sign up for this position, they work the job, they get paid. For a lot of people, that's just what it is, you know. For marriage, I'm not just signing up to be with somebody just for a means to an end, and that end is just, I guess, having a family or kids, like, or just for the sake of being in a marriage. Hell no. Even a job, I'm not working a job just for the sake of working a job. There are people I know that do that, and working within systems, I'm seeing, even where I work at a psychiatric facility, a state facility here in New York, and I'm noticing that there are people who work there just for a paycheck. I'm like, no, I'm a clinician. I'm a professional. I'm driven to this because this is the work that I'm called to do, and I take it very seriously. So, well, yeah, when you're amongst people who don't really take their job as seriously, they just did for a paycheck, yes, you're going to approach the work differently, and your experience is going to be different. He says, behind the scenes, you might be a person who is chronically late, argumentative, gossipy, or just a general shit starter. Other people doing the same work at the same location might be thriving. I say adjust your attitude or move on. See, that's the thing. It's just like, yes, these experiences, whether you're working on a job or you're involved in a marriage or relationship, they're co-created, right? So it's really what you make it. So I get he's coming from that perspective. I say adjust your attitude and move on. You will never find the perfect situation being single or being married. All right, this other person says, I don't know, you just can't take everything in life. You will find a single want to be married and a married guy wants to be single. Basically, he's saying from the perspective of the grass is greener on the other side, right? So you got people who married, right? They want to be single, and then you got single people that want to be married thinking that that's the life, right? So I get this comment. I agree with that too. I think it's part of life where people just don't like or accept their current status. That's a fact. I agree with that. And especially after you've been in it for so long, and I think that's where like the boredom sets in, or you're feeling trapped because you're feeling like, okay, maybe at one point I wanted to do this, but now I'm realizing like this ain't really me. This is not what I really want to do. This shit got played out. I want to try something more fun, more spicy. And this other person says, damn if you do, damn if you don't. All right, let me go back and read. I'm going to share with you guys the original comments that were left. And then we are going to get into what my perspective of marriage is. All right, so this is what I had to comment on my original post, because I noticed a pattern, like a theme, where a lot of people were taking it way out of context. Right? So I'm going to go ahead and set this context. I'm about to open up these comments and read what a lot of people were sharing, because a lot of people, basically the common theme that people were saying, that I noticed that people were saying, they took it as if, okay, I'm going to read the comment. I'm going to read my initial post, right? And then I'm going to tell you guys what most people took it as. And then I'm going to go and read these comments. So I said, today this married guy told me congratulations for being single. He said, being married to the mother of his son feels like a trap and a threat to his freedom and individual identity. I could hear the pain in his voice. Now y'all know that's like the therapist in me, right? That's the psychologist in me, coming from that perspective. I said, I could hear the pain in his voice as he said, sometimes I wish I was still single so I can go and come as I please and not have to answer to anyone. So I made this post. This is back in 2019. I was living in Los Angeles, California. I actually was living in South Central. So my first 2 years when I was in LA, I was living in Hollywood, California. Then I ended up moving to South Central to be closer to my practicum site where I was working at. The site I was working at was actually in Inglewood. And in 2019, I think, yeah, this was the time where I actually was working at a prison. So I moved to South Central LA to be closer to my practicum site at that time. But the practicum rotations were like every year, right? So that following one, which was when I made this post, I actually was working at a prison that was a good distance from where I live, so I needed to have a car. So at the time, I actually was renting cars, and I had rented a car from Enterprise. And so you know how they have like the free shuttle where they'll pick you up from your place, take you to Enterprise so you can check out, rent out the car, and upon return, when you return the car, they will drop you back home. So if I recall correctly, I was returning the car and I needed a shuttle back home. So the Enterprise guy, it was a guy that worked at Enterprise in Inglewood, and I didn't make this context clear at the time because I didn't want, because I got to be careful with what you post, right? If I'm posting this context and the details of the context and me going to this Inglewood location, which is very like, it's clear as day, right? If I say Inglewood location, people would know where I had rented the car from. I didn't need that, because like I said, you gotta be careful. And with me getting a ride home at the time from this Enterprise, I need people to know where I'm living at either. So I didn't post the context. But essentially, one of the Enterprise guys, right? One of the people that worked at Enterprise had given me a ride home, and as the shuttle, right, the courtesy shuttle ride, and I remember kind of vaguely, because like I said, this is like 3 years ago, but he, a lot of people express interest just in me as a person. I don't take it any kind of way. I'm just like, okay, this person is just, I'm a peculiar person, right? So that's all it was. And, he was just asking me about, me and what I'm doing. And I, share with him, I'm training to become a psychologist, work at a prison. And he was telling me how he does work with the youth. And he's adamant about just giving back to the community, and how he's very conscious about his role as a father. So to prevent his child from becoming a troubled youth, one of the youth that he actually works with, like as a side hustle that he does aside from working for Enterprise. And I was like, okay, I relate to that, especially as a psychologist. Your role is very important in the community. And he, expressed that he was married, and I feel like this is nothing unusual, because I have conversations like this all the time. This is the part I think that people were missing, and I get it. A lot of y'all just come across my posts and y'all really don't know me. But if you truly knew me in real life, aside from just social media, first and foremost, you know that, okay, I'm a psychologist, I'm a therapist, I'm pretty damn good at what I do. And oftentimes people do open up to me very quickly. Like, I have that tendency about myself where people just feel that they know me, and I can have a conversation with anyone, and it's usually for like hours. Even, I come across guys just regular, and they just feel very comfortable around me, guys and women, and they open up, right? So it's just like this kind of energy feel that I have around me, where people feel comfortable and they express themselves, and I invite them to do that, right? Because I genuinely do care about people naturally. And so he's sharing with me, which, like I said, is nothing unusual, because I went to a freaking dentist, and the dentist is like opening up, sharing with me like his personal life. Like, people tell me their personal details of their life. It's the reason why I'm in this field. I'm a psychologist. It's the reason why I'm drawn to this, right? People naturally do that. I'm usually that person that people just open up and share like parts about their life that, what the hell? So he's sharing with me like how he's married to this woman. Basically the post that I made, what I shared with you guys, that he's married to this woman, the mother of his daughter, or his son rather, and he feel like he's trapped. That's what he's like, just pouring his heart out, right? And I kind of felt bad, and I'm expressing to him, I'm single. I've been single for a while, and I think just the way my confidence in me saying that rubbed him a certain way. It's almost like he felt envious of me in my position, being happily single, juxtaposed against him being married with a son, right? But he's not as happy. And so that was just what was put on the table. So we're like, we're in this shuttle, this Enterprise van. He's driving me back to my place, and I'm expressing compassion towards him, empathy, like, man, and so of course, me being a therapist, like, I put the idea out about him getting therapy. So I'm going to go ahead and read you guys these comments here, right? So I had to say, some of you guys really took this post out of context, assuming that the guy tried to hit on me, right? Because I'm going to read you guys these comments, what they were saying. But the theme was like, oh, he trying to hit on you, or oh, he trying to make you his side piece. And I'm just like, not one time did I get an inkling in my being that he was trying to hit on me. Now, I could be very oblivious to the fact, which sometimes I am, but I did not get that sense at all that he was trying to hit on me. I'm not even like receiving him in that way, right? Like, I felt like our conversation was very respectful boundaries. It wasn't like, anything that I felt like was crossing boundaries in that way. you know. He was just expressing how he felt. So I said, assuming that the guy tried to hit on me, or he doesn't take care of his child, when neither are the case, he lives with his wife and daughter and works to take care of his family. I was just curious to hear what your thoughts were. Basically, their projections regarding his feelings towards being married versus single. So that was the whole point of the post. Hence the reason why I'm making this video here about marriage being a trap. It's like marriage life versus single life, and that's pretty much what the scenario was, the picture that was painted. Me being a single woman, he's sharing his experience about being a single man, and that's just what the bill was. But I get it that a lot of people, I don't know, I think it kind of speaks to the lack of social interaction that is evident in the black community. I think just like basic, regular, healthy, positive social interactions, between opposing sexes. It's like, it's just because a man interacts with a woman doesn't mean that he's trying to hit on her. Like a man, I would like to believe that a man can have a productive, goal-driven conversation with a woman without the goal being trying to get into her panties, right? We can just be building, and I feel like that just goes to show how limited people are in their experiences in life. That is kind of sad and unfortunate that for a lot of black people, a lot of people in the black community, like, their frame of reference when it comes to a male and a woman interacting is just sexually based. If that ain't the shallowest shit, I don't, to me, like, it's kind of hard for me to even fathom that, but that's not my frame of reference that I'm coming from, because I interact with men and women, and it's usually on an intellectual level, especially in academia, right? So I'm exposed to these kinds of circles where, men and women interact all the time, and it ain't got shit to do with sex, right? So for people to go to, oh, he trying to hit on you, or he trying to get a piece of that, it's just like, where y'all be at? What kind of circles do y'all be in that it has to resort to that? And then it also made me think, like, some of y'all are a bit self-centered and narcissistic to even believe that, like, they're putting themselves in the shoes of me, right, in that situation. So if they were in that situation, they would feel like a guy is trying to hit on them. I don't think that way, right? And I come across a lot of men who initiate conversation with me, and it rarely comes across my mind that, oh, he trying to hit on me. Now, not to say all the time I feel like being bothered. There are times where I may shut the conversation down because I be in my own mind a lot of times, and I really don't feel, I'm not in the mood to really interact, right? Like, I'm not in that headspace to be having a conversation just with some random person. So there are times I shut it down. But anyway, so this woman replies, that's because normally that's why men have those types of conversations with women. I'm just like, where you get that from, y'all? First of all, I think y'all watch too much television. That's what maybe I'll see in those drama TV shows. I don't watch TV. That's not my frame of reference or my experience at all. I guess because I also have had, like, a lot of platonic friendships. I've, like, even my best friend, he in timeout right now, but my best friend since 2006, we're talking about like over 16 years. And we ended up becoming partners. We were roommates at one time, but we can be friends. A man and a woman can be friends, and it's nothing sexual like that. We can vibe. We spend hours on the phone just building. I have, like, other guy friends that I do that. I can just build. It's nothing like that, right? It's not, it don't even cross our mind because we're just so, like, deep into the bill, right, that I don't understand y'all sometimes. But all right, but he definitely shouldn't be married if that's how he feels. Everyone isn't meant to be married. He likes freedom, so marriage isn't for him. That's sad that people equate marriage with being trapped, right, and being single with being free. Is it not possible for you to be married and free? I mean, it's really what you make it. Marriage is what you truly make it. Saying, but marriage shouldn't feel like a prison sentence, so I don't know. And then I had to make it clear, like, listen, this conversation came up during a business transaction. While we were passing time talking about troubled youth, he mentioned that he has a daughter whom he takes care of to avoid her becoming a troubled youth. Then we were talking about therapy and how his wife is in therapy and recommends he see a therapist. And so that's how the conversation was going, right? He wants to work on his marriage. He asked if I was married to see if I could relate, and I told him I'm single, to which he replied, congratulations, followed by the explanation above. So you see how something like these subtle things can get completely misconstrued. People making their own projections, their own assumptions. And for me, I'm all about clarity. Let's communicate and come to an understanding. But just looking at how this played out, even in my comment section, goes to show how it's grounds, it's grist for a lot of unnecessary conflict that ensues in relationships. It's just, it doesn't even have to be that way, but because people go with their preconceived notions and they project that shit onto a situation, then you got chaos, right? And people are set in their kind of delusional thinking, right? They think, and it's funny enough because that's actually a disorder. That's actually a psychological disorder for a person to believe that a person is cheating on them, right? And you have that happen. You think that, oh, well, my partner is engaging in conversation with an opposite sex, so that person, they got to be cheating on me. They have to have ill intention, and then they really believe this thought. Right? They have this thought that come across their mind and they hold on to it and they truly believe that this shit is true. How fucking sad. It's crazy, but I get it. Like, people are acting out of fear and insecurity, essentially. Thank God that's not me. It's like, I'm so secure in who I am, like, I don't have to assume that every guy who initiates conversation with me is trying to hit on me. Not to say like I'm not attractive, right? Or wanted. But I feel like when people think that, oh, everybody trying to hit on them, I think that comes from a place of insecurity, I think, oftentimes. That's where narcissism comes in. They're very self-centered and think everything is just about them. It's not. I felt like what he was saying was not even about me. I think it was about his experience, and that's where I took it at and left it at. I didn't take it, oh, well, he's saying this to me because he wants me. No, I felt like he was saying it to me because the space was created, right, for him, because I was pretty much open to hearing his perspective, and he's driving me home. I didn't feel any ill energy or ill intent, and I felt it was about him and what he was going through in his marriage, and I felt very deeply for him. Meanwhile, I'm kind of tooting my own single horn, like, I'm glad I'm single. And that's where he was like, congratulations. All right. Oh, Kendra, speaking of the devil, Kendra is going live right now. All right. All right. So she goes and says, it's understood better with your explanation of the conversation, but that wasn't in the initial post, which caused the assumptions. It's clear that he's not the only one who needs to work on things in their marriage, though. He feels that way. It's because of some things his wife is saying and doing. You can't do any and everything you want when you're married, but you should have freedom. Some spouses feel their spouse isn't supposed to have a life outside of their family, and that's an issue. I wonder if he ever had the conversation with his wife, or he's been holding his feelings in. I feel like he's been holding his shit in. For him to say what he said to me, and I'm being a therapist, and I'm trying to recall, I think I made it clear what I do. A lot of times that's kind of how the conversation lead, like, oh, what do you do? especially in places like LA, Atlanta, New York City. Well, not so much New York City, I noticed that, but definitely in LA and Atlanta, that's kind of how conversations, like initial conversations began. People asking you, oh, what do you do? You know, kind of want to get a feel of who that person is. And so, yeah, that's been the moment I tell people that I'm training to become a psychologist. During that time, now I'm a psychologist, but during those times, I would tell people that they immediately go into like fucking client mode, yo. Just like, I even made a video how like it can be exhausting even telling people what I do as a profession, because they really be seeking, like, yo, people need therapy. And when they find out, like, oh, you're a therapist, they think that they just go into that mode. I'm like, no, I'm turning it off. I'm off work right now. I'm not trying to go into that mode. All right. She says, either way, I hope they work through their issues and have a happy, healthy marriage they deserve. And then I had to reiterate. I said, I just find it funny how quick people jump to conclusions and make assumptions. But it's funny to me. Not that it's unexpected, but it's just funny. I said, I laugh when people assume he was trying to hit on me. Like, that's what you took from this shit? Like, that's why sometimes I don't share things, because I know that, unfortunately, a lot of people are very narrow-minded. And have a very narrow frame of reference. So I just feel like if I post certain things, it's not going to be received in the way I want it to. And you guys are not going to be capable of contributing to the conversation in a way that I find to be meaningful, right, or beneficial to me. So I just sometimes leave certain things just off of social media. But yeah. I say, if I was a guy making this same post, that wouldn't have even been brought up. Think about it. If I was a man, take the same post, right? Then people have a different perspective. Because I'm a woman, you get what I'm saying? People just automatically project this misinterpretation. And then she goes, I'll admit I was one of them, because not all, but a lot of men use those type of conversations as a way in with women. But what kind of women are y'all to see that as a way in? To even see that as a way of hitting? That is a weak ass pickup line. Ain't no way. Okay, let's go with that, right? Perspective of, oh, he's potentially trying to hit on me. That to me is a very weak. It's very weak. How is it weak? Because a woman of my caliber of myself is, I'm not going to be attracted to any man that is leading a conversation complaining about, first of all, you in a relationship, you're in a marriage, and on top of that, you're complaining about this. No, like, no, if anything, I want you to fix that. That's like, even for me, when it comes to my standards, I'm not even interested in dating a guy who has children, even if he's separated from the mother of his children. Because I'm like, yo, what went wrong with that? Go back and fix that. Because I stand beside women. I'm a woman myself. So, nah, I stand with single mothers here. I'm on their side, right? I'm on, even though I don't know your mother, the mother of your child, I stand on her side. Stand by her side. Trust and believe that. So, yeah. But yeah, to see that as a way in. So I feel like just, it tells a lot. That's why I find it funny, because it tells a lot about these kind of women who making this respond. You guys can go check out this whole thread on my Facebook page at Danny's World, where it just goes to show, like, y'all y'all would find that attractive. Ugh. Anyways, let's keep going. I think if you would have gave more background on the conversation, it would have been different. I've had it done to me before. Child. No, I say it also goes to show how easily men are thrown under the bus and accused of cheating. Okay. A man can have a respectful, mature conversation with a woman without someone assuming he has intentions on hitting on her. So I think that's where the saying goes. Like, this goes back to how I was saying experiences are co-created. So think about this, right? Let's go with that. This man is making this statement. It could be taken really any kind of way. I didn't take it as he was hitting on me. But there are people who responded to my post who took it as, oh, he's interested, he's trying to hit on you. So if a woman has that mindset, then she's going to act accordingly in that way, right? Which creates a certain situation. You see how that plays out? So you can't point fingers at this man. Oh, let's say if he responded to those advances in her behavior, kind of more like a self-fulfilling prophecy, because if she believes that, oh, he's hitting on me, so she's kind of opening herself up and acting in a way like, right? She's kind of responding in that way, then that could influence him to respond in a certain kind of way. Right? He's already in a fucking weak ass marriage that he doesn't want to be in. So that creates a situation. And who will be at fault? Hell, it's just a prime example of how things are aligned in the universe, right? That would be like perfect timing. But for me, I didn't receive it in that way. So that shit ain't go down like that. Because I'm not receiving it in that way. It ain't that kind of party over here. But yeah, for a lot of these women, for them, they would have received it in that way, and they probably would have ended up getting laid. Who knows what could have came of that. Yeah, I say a man can have a respectful, mature conversation with a woman without someone assuming he has intentions on hitting on her. I don't see male to female interactions like that, and assuming just because a guy strikes up a conversation with me, he wants my number. It's not always that deep. But for, I think, desperate women, shit, they think every man trying to hit on them, and they want a man to be hitting on them like that, I guess. The other person says, my thoughts are he's trying to plant seeds in your head and attempt to start something outside his marriage with you. Even men, it's like, what? And I had to say, this guy was someone I encountered in a business deal. Like, are you kidding me? He says, who happened to divulge his personal business to you for what reason? We're human beings. That's the reason. And on top of that, like I said before, I believe that I expressed to him what my role is, right? What my profession is. So I feel even if I didn't divulge that, okay, I'm a psychologist or a therapist, you know, if I'm positioning myself to hear, just being empathic as a human being, seeing him as a spiritual human being, as myself, that's the reason why he felt a need to divulge that. If a person is going through, they're going through. I said it was relevant to the conversation we were having at the time about troubled youth. People open up to me about their problems all the time. Right? This isn't the first. Both men and women do it. Nothing out of the ordinary. The other day, it was my dentist. I was saying, yo, this is so true. The other day, it was my dentist telling me about his marriage and whole life story. This dude gave me his whole life freaking story. I didn't ask him for the information. I think they just pick up on the vibes. LOL. I am a therapist and a doctor in training. He says, well, those are my thoughts. Men are simple creatures. Nothing really complex about us. I'm not saying it's complex. I said I doubt it. He looks like he's faithful, and I definitely don't talk to married men. It was just small talk. Maybe you're projecting that you would do maybe you're projecting what you would do onto him, right? Which he was. He said, if that's what you got out of that, then no, if that's what you got out of it. Like, I feel like that's a very narrow-minded way of looking at this scenario for people to pull that he's trying to hit on me. Like, you could take it any way, and that's why I feel like it's a good thing that I didn't share too much information in the initial post, because you can take that post many different directions, yo, and people just automatically jump to that. I say, yeah, I take it as he was just voicing his perspective on marriage, which a lot of married men probably feel the same way, but don't talk about it openly. If he was trying to spit game, he would have asked Cause he called me. It was just small talk. That's true. Like, yo, this dude was literally trying to spit game. I mean, think of it. If he was trying to hit on me, why didn't he ask for my phone number? That was not his intent. I did not get that anywhere from the conversation. This person says, he is a fool. His wife, his kids are a gift. Hope never know as like him. Okay. Just poor grammar. Somebody says, he got married too soon. That's why people should not get married or forced just because a child is involved. Pray about it. Might have a point. But I'm on the persuasion, like, yo, I'm all about family. So I feel like, yeah, marry the mother of your child. But not just because she's the mother of your child. You should marry her because this is who you love. Otherwise, why the fuck are you laying up with this person? I know that people have sexual needs, but come on. That goes back to what do you value and how do you value sex. A lot of people really don't see it as something more than just getting their sexual needs met. For me, it's spiritual, man. I'm not laying up with anybody. I'm not on the phone for hours just with anybody, yo. No, everything serves a purpose with me. Yeah, I have similar conversations with both men and women. What surprises me most is that they don't have the mental capacity to make the decision to leave for whatever reason they choose to suffer. So, thank you. This person, she got it, right? Some people just, they got it. And other people, they just took it a whole different direction and you have to go. So, yeah, she said she can relate. I mean, exactly. She has similar conversations with both men and women. And it's really about what is the content of what he's saying. Y'all reading too much between the damn lines, right? He put it out there like he's not happy in his freaking marriage, you know? But he did say that he wants to go to therapy. So that's what I took from it. Like, for him to say he wanted to go to therapy, good. But y'all and y'all imaginative minds look like, oh, you want to go to therapy, huh? And you a therapist, huh? That would be a good fictional story, right? That would make for some good content for a movie or a book. Want to go to therapy? Can I have your number? Are you taking clients? I can't, yo. A lot of my married homeboys tell me the same thing. To me, a relationship should not weigh on you so heavy. Exactly. It's supposed to be two people working together and not dumping issues and insecurities on your mate. That's the thing. A lot of people are unhealed. A lot of people have come from broken homes. Brokenness, they're broken people. They have trauma, unhealed trauma, and they're bringing that into a relationship, expecting that person to essentially be their therapist, to help heal them. And that could work as long as that's mutually understood and agreed upon, right? As part of that contract. But a lot of people, I think, not equipped for that. They're not prepared for that, you know, and they enter into these relationships with people who are broken and are seeking healing from the other person, and then becomes this codependent, toxic, maladaptive relationship that is bound to fail, that is bound to be chaotic, and it's just too much for them to bear. It's just like, being a therapist takes skill, right? A lot of people say, oh, well, I don't need to go to therapy because I got friends and they're my therapists. Okay, your friends can buffer some of that stress and help you to put things into perspective, but they're not trained, licensed professionals. There's a difference, okay? It's a certain skill set and technique that comes with being a therapist or a psychologist. And it's a reason why they set aside that for professionals, right? To get professional help. It's not for your partner to be your romantic partner and your therapist and your psychologist. That's just too much to bear. That's a job by itself. That's a whole role by itself, being a therapist, and you expect that from your partner to heal you in that way? No. It's some things that you really have to go deep to seek deep psychological healing. And only a well-trained clinician can help you achieve that. Not in just overnight, though. It's going to take some years to accomplish that. And yet people are seeking that from their significant other. That's where the lines get blurred. So I like that comment, though, about it's supposed to be two people working together and building, right? You already being, not that you're completely healed, because nobody is completely healed, right? We all still, even though, let's say, you're conscious, you're very self-aware, and you have worked through a lot of issues in therapy, you still have things that you're carrying with you. You still have triggers, right? So it's not that a person is a blank slate or completely healed, but you are coming into a situation, a dynamic where you are very much self-aware and you take responsibility. That's the difference. You take ownership for what it is that you're bringing in. Those triggers, those unhealed traumas, those traumas that aren't completely healed, even though you've worked through a lot of stuff in therapy, you're bringing that and you're taking ownership of that. You're not projecting that shit onto your partner and blaming them and holding them accountable for your own bullshit that you fucking went through as a child. I mean, it's unfortunate that you had to go through that, but a lot of people put that responsibility on people that have nothing to do with that. They were not there. They were not there when you were neglected as a child, when you were abandoned. All right. This person says he needs to stop, take a deep breath, and stop trying to pick up on single women and surrender to his marriage and look after his kid. Now, who knows? Maybe he has a point. Maybe he probably is on a prowl for that, right? But I just think that's a weak pickup line. I mean, for me, that wouldn't work for me. What he said, that's not making me attracted to him. Somehow y'all got that from this, the people that commented. That's not attractive. You can't lead with that. I don't want to hear about your problems, right? Like, if a man is trying to hit on me, and this happened like on dating sites where men bring like their drama and their baggage, their junk, and they dump. I'm turned the fuck off. Okay, I'm not attracted to you. I don't need you to come to me with that. If you're my client, yes, bring it, okay? But you're paying me for that, right? That's a different story. Someone replied to him and said, no, if he is not happy, he shouldn't make them miserable as well. He can still be that child's father and take care of her. Someone says, I think he was telling his honest truth that he probably couldn't share with no one. Thank you. See, she knows me. She's one of the authors who is a part of my literary organization, Ubawa. So I'm glad that people can see through what really is and know that, yeah, he was just opening up, which is rare that men do that. So I appreciate that he was able to do that. Could have took him on as my client, but I wasn't in that space to do so. Like, I was in training and have full load, full schedule. So, but looking back, yes, I do want to do family work. I think that's so important. A lot of couples can benefit from couples and family therapy. And then someone else says, yes, I agree with what she said. She said, I think he was telling his honest truth that he probably couldn't share with no one else. Exactly. Hell no. This other person says, he full of shit. Now, I get it. Everyone is speaking from their own perspective, right? So she could be a married woman and like, this motherfucker married and he's in a bed. And yo, I get it. I'm a very attractive woman. So like, I get it. If you guys are, let's say, in a marriage, right, and you're hearing me say that this married man is saying, is like unloading all of these private things, these very intimate details of his life that really should only be shared between him and his wife and a trained, licensed professional, right? But he's sharing it with me. I get it. But she said, he full of shit. Another woman says, he shouldn't have gotten married. He can get a divorce, and he was trying to shoot his shot with you. See, these are women that's in relationships, I'm sure, who come from this perspective. And they're very, like, women can be very territorial. And you have to understand, it's not about that. You're speaking from your own insecurities. It ain't about that, sis. He was definitely trying to shoot his shot with you. This is another person. But if he feels that way, he's not married to the person who was made for him. Marriage isn't a walk in the park. And of course, there will be ups and downs. But it's a beautiful thing. And you're willing to work through anything with the right person. Someone else says, it's not for everyone, but it's a little late for him to figure that out. Yeah. He in it now. He knee deep in it. Someone says, he shouldn't have gotten married. So, let me share my perspective. Oh, there's more? Hold on. Damn, there's more comments. Someone says, amen to that. Someone says, he married the wrong person. That's on him, partly anyway. He just a freak and wanted to screw outside the house. Or that. Okay, that was the last comment. So, let me share my thoughts on this marriage. I'm glad that you guys share your comments and honest truth. So revealing, yo. Like, I'm looking at this just through the lens of me being a professional who studies human behavior and dissecting all of this. What he said, how he said it, what your response was to what I posted, right? You know, I kind of paraphrased what he said to me, and you guys share your projections based on your own personal experiences, your own lens that you're looking through. It goes to show where you are at in your space in life in that point in time, right? It says so much, just so much like grist for the mill, right? You're revealing so much of who you are just in the words that you posted on my post. And in thinking about marriage, so many different ways you can look at marriage itself, right? The title of this video is Marriage, essentially, is it a trap? And it's unfortunate that he's at that point. Maybe he started there. Maybe he started at that point where he felt marriage is a trap. But if he thought it was a trap, I think when he proposed or when he initiated this whole process of getting married, I don't think a person in their right mind going in will see it as a trap. It's like, in hindsight, he's saying it's a trap. Because he's in it now. He's like, damn, my man, I'm here. Damn. But had he had the opportunity to go back and do things differently, would he be married, right? And what is the benefit of marriage? Why even get married in the first place? I'm asking you guys, you know, looking at this scenario, why would a man get married? Okay, for the sake of the child. Okay? Because traditionally, oftentimes, people do things out of tradition, like what their parents did, just what's commonplace, like in their family dynamic. You know, it's expected for a man to get married to a woman, especially if she has, you know, his children. And I think that is the rightful, dignified thing to do. But only in the context of, if you love her, you know, you're just doing it just for the sake of doing it. That's a different kind of commitment. And that's tough, you know, because if you're not happy with this person, I would like to take a deeper look as to why, though. You know, and even let's say if at one point he was happy and loved her, right? He was happy to be with her and thought that she was the one, and somehow he reached a point where he's looking back in hindsight, in retrospect, and thinking, this feels like a trap, I want out, I'm not happy. Then a person can be unhappy for many different reasons. And I made a video a couple of years ago. I was in a park and I was talking about happiness and how happiness is essentially a choice. And oftentimes people project that responsibility of being happy onto their partner. They're expecting their partner to be the one to make them happy. And I say, no one can make you happy. It's not your partner's responsibility to make you happy. And people had a major problem with me saying that. They just could not wrap their mind, or like, yo, that I just thought the interaction that post was a great example of the mindset of people and what goes wrong in relationships and how it goes wrong. Is because people enter into relationships with the false premise that their happiness is someone else's responsibility. What the hell? No, your happiness is your responsibility. And I'm looking at happiness as your mental health, right? Because that's essentially what it is. If you are mentally well, then you are happy. And whose responsibility is it for you to be mentally well? It's yourself. And so when I made that video, I had people, was mostly men, was debating with me. It was just like, well, no, it's your job to keep them happy. Otherwise, why are they going to be there if you can't please them? Now, pleasing a person, doing things that bring a person a smile on the face, right, is different, I think, than a person taking ownership for their own happiness. Like, I can be in a relationship and I can do things that put a smile on your face, right? Perhaps you would expect that from time to time. You would want that, right? But is it my job to make you happy? Because I'm saying that, yo, if you're already happy, then that's you, right? You should already be happy when you meet me. It's not because I've dated people that just have a baseline of pessimism. They have a baseline of unhappiness. So you got me fucked up if you think that it is my job to undo all of that. That's who that person is. This person has a pessimistic personality disorder. That was his damn whole way of being. That's who he was. And you will lose your mind thinking if it's your responsibility to make this person, just like to pretty much rewire and reprogram who this person is. That's not my fucking job. Are you kidding me? And so if you're looking to me to make you happy, that shit ain't gonna ever happen. In fact, I just might end up doing the opposite. That's the funny thing about dating, yo. If anything, I am going to show you who you are. I'm going to show you your shadows. I'm going to reveal to you the part of you that you don't want to see. I'm going to do that inadvertently. Granted, yes, this is my nature and my professional role as a psychologist. But aside from that, I can't turn it on and turn it off. This is who I am. Right? This is a lifestyle. This is a profession, yes, as a psychologist, but this is a lifestyle for me. This is who I am. I am going to show you I'm your mirror reflection. I'm going to show you those deep, dark skeletons that you don't want to take a look at. And it's not going to feel good. I've done that. And I've been like very delighted in doing so. But for my partners at the time, they hated that shit. They hated me, right, in that process. But it is what it is. So that's why I think that, yeah, you need to be healed going into any relationship, especially entering a relationship. You better have your shit together. You better know who exactly you are. Because if you don't run circles around your ass, it's not going to be a pleasant experience, right? But if you know who you are, you've done a good amount of the work and working through all that junk, right? Then we could gel well together. In fact, it's like we will become soulmates because you're gonna challenge. You're my equal, you're my match, right? And we're gonna fit together like a glove. So, in terms of like my perspective on marriage, I think marriage can be a beautiful thing. Exactly when it's right with the right person. What someone said in the post, like when you're with the right person, this person just married the wrong person. But when you're with the right person for the right reasons, it can be a beautiful thing. But I think oftentimes people are attracted to the idea of what they think marriage is. It's like this fairy tale idea. Some people just feel like they need to be married. They need to just say, "I's married now." Have the ring. But they're not really happy. And they're overexerting themselves. They're doing double duty just to claim a role, a title that's really not for them. And to be with that person that they're holding on to so desperately. Or this idea of what they think marriage should be with a person who somehow fell for it, I have a few people in mind, I'm not going to say any names, but a few people in mind that are close to me who are living this reality, and I can tell, like, yo, this is, first of all, it damn sure ain't the life I would want. Just to say I'm married. And I feel like it's not the life that this person deserves as a woman. You have women that, like, take care of men. And it's just like, that's not what it's supposed to be, but it brings them satisfaction. But it's just like they're getting the short end of the stick. Man not doing shit. You get up every day and you work and you bust your ass, and he's sitting at home, but you married. He's reaping all the benefits. Like, it has to, that person has to be so broken on the inside, so empty, to want to be a part of a dynamic and to feel that this is healthy and this is functional, where you're giving your entire soul, your entire self to a person, but this person is not pouring anything back into you other than their presence. They're there, but outside of that, what are they? Okay, I digress. But anyway, so going back to my perspective of marriage is like, I can see why people choose a single life. I can see why well-respected. Let me fix this. I don't know how my paintings somehow get misaligned. But yeah, I don't see how, like, I can see how, like, people who are well-respected figures, successful public figures in the black community, I can see sometimes why they choose a single route. And particularly, I'm thinking about Dr. Umar Johnson. It's just like, not just him though, even like with Kendra, though she has this dating show that she hosts, and she's very, like, well respected, successful, but she's choosing that single route. She can easily settle or be with someone, but it's just like, it's a level of peace. And one can equate peace with freedom, right? Because when you're your own person, you're not attached to someone else, or you're not coexisting or partnered with someone else. You can go and navigate the world without having to consult or to compromise. When you're entering into these agreements and creating these attachments with other people, it does feel like you're trapped, right? It's like, it does feel like you're on a lockdown, like you're settling. And that's not what you want. Unless, like I say, you go into this arrangement with your person, right? This potential partner, and you put it on the table and you have this clear understanding between each other that, you know, what you value most is freedom, right? And what does that look like with two people doing this together? So I'm gonna leave that at that on this note here. I guess I'm wondering, like, and thinking about myself and where I am personally in my life right now. Of course, I could be partnered easily, y'all. I get like so many men wanting to get to know me, wanting to build with me, but for me, I feel like life is so much bigger than love, I would say. Yeah, life can be so much bigger than love, right? I feel like love, like, what is that? What is love? What is relationship? Life to me is just is grander. It's bigger than it's bigger when you're single. I feel like it's just like when not even when you're single, because no one really is alone. I don't feel like I'm alone. I just feel like there are 1,000 ancestors that live through me and in me and direct my course, and there are always angels guiding me and protecting me. So I'm never alone. But I feel like this idea of singlehood, like just this reality and experience of being single, it's just so much more beneficial. And even when I'm partnered, I just like to be by myself. Like, I experienced that a lot, like in my relationships, where I just still was in my own space, even being with someone and living with someone in love. Like, I just moved to the beat of my own drum, and I think that's how it should be. But you guys, feel free to share your comments below, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. I feel like it's been a while since I've done a live video on an interesting topic, so I'm back at it, I guess. And I have another topic that I want to address in my next video. It's going to be about interracial relationships. And why is it that black men procreating and being with white women, how is that a good thing for the black community? Because I just had an epiphany, and it's not something new necessarily, but it kind of resurfaced in my mind that it's not necessarily a bad thing for black men to pursue that which has been denied, right? The white woman or a non-black woman. And why is a black man so desirable in that respect by non-black women? And how that is a threat in every sense of the word to white supremacy. Catch you guys later.